Hello and welcome to Campus Drive, your one-way street to all things HCC. I'm your host, Matt Jackson, manager of Dragon Podcast here at Dragon Media. Today's episode, we have a very special guest. She's a muralist, a visual artist, and from Columbia, Maryland, a homegrown Howard County talent. She was just recently recognized by Washington City Paper as Visual Artist of the Year. You may have seen some of her work if you have traveled through DC. She's done murals. She's done collaborations with everyone from DC United to Broccoli City Music Festival, even to working with Giant Grocery Store and creating tote bags. She was also the winner of the PBR artist competition where she got her design put on PBR cans for the whole year. So she's done a lot, and I'm really, really excited to be able to have her on here so she can continue to inspire students who are coming from the Howard County area about pursuing their art, but also staying open to the options that are available to you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tenbeete Solomon, better known as Trap Bob. Welcome back to Campus Drive, where we share stories from Howard Community College. I'm your host, Matt Jackson, manager of Dragon Podcast. And today we're sitting down with Trap Bob. She's a Columbia native with a strong presence with her murals and her artwork. I mean, if you just come to DC, you'll see it yourself, and has been super impactful across the region. Just wanted to talk about her journey and how it all started in Howard County. So lock in, you're listening to Campus Drive on Dragon Podcast. That was a good one.
Great intro.
And,
I love when people do it for me.
Yeah. It feel like you're at church and you're about to preach and you like sitting there waiting to come up.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I forget everything I do.
Right. No, it's lit. I want to get this started. You grew up in Columbia and you went to Long Reach. How did your experiences growing up in Howard County influence your path as an artist?
I think the biggest thing I took away from growing up in Howard County is the diversity that I grew up with. I had neighbors, classmates, friends from so many different backgrounds. And me being a child of Ethiopian immigrants, I think it was really important to experience seeing different backgrounds and also taking pride in my background, because it felt like in my house, it was Ethiopia. And then I would go to school and learn I'm also the oldest. So I'm the first one teaching everybody, like, this is what they're doing in America. This is what they're doing at school. And growing up with so much diversity allowed me to think differently and also be really compassionate. Like, I remember when I was younger, I really felt for people and I really hated injustice. Like, even if I saw someone getting bullied, it really bothered me. And it didn't make much sense to me until I got older and got into like activism stuff, that was like really important to me.
Yeah. And you found a way to like flesh it out. I'm super curious. When did you first realize that art was going to be like the move for you? When did you realize it was going to be more than just a hobby?
So there's like when I like subconsciously realized, and then there's when I actually realized.
Right, it's a two-part.
Yeah. So when I was like, I remember distinctly when I was in first grade, I took an art class in Columbia, and I cannot explain the feeling I had. I just know it really stuck out to me. Like I felt like I found myself in a way without knowing it. Like I feel like I was an individual in that moment. And there was like this idea of what I enjoy and what I love and what I'm interested in. I think curiosity is what I like felt first. And it felt like, I don't know, it just felt like it was my world, but I didn't understand it. And there definitely wasn't anyone like, go be an artist. You know, it was very much like you have your one art credit in elementary school, you need to take a class. And so I did it. But I don't remember anything else that I learned at that age except taking that art class. And I actually have in my apartment right now that painting. I painted that in first grade, and it was a royal self-portrait we all had to paint. Yeah. And when I got older, well, they took it, this is when I was at Waterloo Elementary.
Okay.
And they took it and they would do these like art shows in the mall, and it would tour around Howard County. So they took mine and I didn't really know about it. I forgot about it. And then maybe like end of middle school, they gave it back to me. And I was looking and I was like, why would I paint myself with like blonde hair and blue eyes? So the painting is like a Black woman with a crown, royal self-portrait, but blonde hair, blue eyes. And I was like, why would I do that? It doesn't make any sense. But when I think about like where my head was in first grade, I was like, well, all the princesses and queens I see on TV are white with blonde hair and blue eyes. So then I'm like, okay, if I draw myself, you know, I'm like, that must be what's royal is those things, but I can't change my skin. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, paint me as a white woman. So I made myself a black woman, and I didn't understand the depth of that at the time. It was literally just logic to me. And then my dad, who's an amazing artist, like talked to me about it later and was like, you know, that had a lot of meaning and that was important. And even then I still was like, that's so cool, but I didn't connect like a job with that. But I never had any dream job ever. I never was like, I want to be this when I grow up. I just was trying stuff because I was like, I don't know what it feels like to be passionate, but I know I have not felt that about anything before. So I'm just like, okay, I was very disciplined. I did a lot of activities, like I said. I was very serious in dance in high school. And creative things, just not art. So I would be like the person doing the bubble letters on the posters in class type of stuff. But I think people telling me I was creative all the time got that in my head, but I still never put it towards like a job or art or anything like that. And then I didn't take another art class till maybe I had to take one in high school. I never thought about it. I never was like looking for ways to do it. I enjoyed it when I could, but I was enjoying like all the other creative things. Like I played instruments, like I said, dance. And I was really, really into dance. Like almost you would think I was going to do it professionally, but I never was thinking that. I was just like, I'm just doing this right now. Like I became captain. I was like teaching in school. Like the team did really well. And then I left to college and I was like, I'm done with that. And I'm just gonna go to college. And then college, they were like, you need to pick a major. And I was like, I have no idea. I don't want to do any of it. And I was sitting there like, you know, I like money, so I'm going to study business. I literally was like, that only is the thing that makes sense when I don't have a, you know, the idea was like, you study what you're going to do for a job instead of studying what might interest you and lead to something, you know, like that mindset is where it was at. So I was like, business is good. I love business. And Maryland had a great business school. And I got into there, which I was like, I don't know, it was tough. So when I got in, I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this. And honestly, it was the best thing I could have studied. I still to this day love it so much, learning business. And then I kind of felt, again, they were like, you need to pick concentration in business. So it was like junior year of college. And I'm like, okay, marketing seems really interesting to me. Those are the only classes that like I noticed. So I think I never had this idea of like, I need to find this lane. I need to find this job. I was just like, if I'm not interested, I'm not going to narrow anything down until I find myself curious. And marketing to me, taking a step back, I just realized like, they're just telling me how important art is. That's how I saw it. So every class was like, I'm learning like the marketing tactics and the psychology behind it, but I'm also learning like, what's resonating with people and how to connect with people, specifically in a digestible, respectable way versus like scheming and lying and things. That's learning that, and marketing really also shaped how I see making art now and sharing things with people, which is why I really love freelancing, because it's like, I don't have to hide my work in some rich person's house, you know, or in a gallery. My work is out in the public for people to enjoy, but I'm still making money to sustain myself. So I loved that direction, and also just like being able to help other people, like being in the business school. I was like the only Black person in my classes, and all my friends were out of the school. So I would always think like, wow, I really think everyone should learn these things. Even if you're not studying, even if you're not going to do it as a job, it's really important. It's even like understanding how you're getting marketed
reading and things that you need as an adult. Like,
because there's so many tricks out there that like I would not have known if I didn't get to study that. So I got involved with the Black Business Association there. And then I ended up being president my senior year. And I was just really pushing to get non-business majors that were Black to come in and get access to all the resources and learn stuff. And I definitely got pushed back on that, but I didn't care. I was radical. I was like, everyone's going to get this. And then at that time also, again, the pressure of like, what are you going to do for a job? What are you going to do after college? I just realized at one point, like I was just lying to everybody because I kept saying, I'm going to get this job or I want to work for this company. And it wasn't true at all. And I was like, this is getting serious. This is a serious lie. Like I'm about to graduate. I got to pick something. So I actually had all these like freshman level credits for electives because I didn't see the point of taking electives.
I'm trying to get to it.
I was trying to get out so I could go and do what I wanted. So I had these, like I said, extra classes, and I was like, why don't I take an art class? Like, it was like full circle, right? Like I'm like thinking of elementary school again, and I was like, I need some stress relief. I'm freaking out. Let me do something that's not related to my future. That's what I thought, right? Yeah. So I took a class with my sister, actually.
Like, little did you know. Like,
yeah, I had no idea. I was just like, let's just take a class. Let's go have fun, right? And we took a drawing class, and I was obsessed. Like, it was like my brain changed, my eyes changed. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Everything I looked at was like, how do I draw that?
Yeah.
And it was something that I wasn't actively trying to think about, but it was like almost haunting me. And it almost wasn't even a choice of becoming an artist. It was like in that moment, I just became one because I couldn't not be, Yeah. And it was like I took everything in me to force my life to be an artist. Like I was ready to flip everything around. I was going to do whatever it took. The only thing in my way was graduating. So I was like, I got to graduate college, give my mom that degree, and, go on and do what I do. And luckily, like I said, studying business was perfect because it gave me the mindset of how to build that future. Mm-hmm. And I had all these other skills I gained from being on teams with people. I did retail in college. And I just feel like I gained a lot of skills that would allow me to be able to make art and like sell it and talk to people and connect with people and like inspire others. Because at the point that I figured out that that's what I wanted, my next immediate thought is like, there's other people out there that were like me as a kid that could have gone towards their passion.
Right.
And I'm like, how do I help them see that? Like I can't go backwards. I think everything happened the way it was supposed to for me. But now I do a lot of work with kids in schools in DC where I'm not trying to push them to be an artist, but I want them to think like an artist.
Yeah.
Think creatively, like find what you're interested in, put it together and create what you want. Like you don't have to have a blueprint already marked out for you.
Yeah. While you've been talking, I've been just thinking about a couple of things. Heavy on the being guided by like your inspiration, like it being more of a feeling. No one's just going to tell you, but also you made sure that you were always involved with whether or not you felt like this was going to be the end all be all.
Yeah.
And you were still able to pull from them. And lo and behold, throughout all of these little pit stops you were making, you were building like all four corners of the house in which like the art could stand on.
Exactly.
And that part is cool because I do think that sometimes that creative journey is, a walk in a dark tunnel and you can only see maybe the one footstep in front of you. I meet a lot of people who think that what they're doing just isn't inherently creative and they can't, and because they're doing that they're not creative. And it's like, you don't know what this is stirring up that you'll be able to do creatively because you've done this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I did ROTC in high school. I did like everything, marching band, like.
Yeah, which is good. Like you have the opportunity. It's there and it's in a community.
Yeah.
And it's low lift in a sense. Like you're just a high schooler, you could do it and stop. Like people, I think when you're young, you don't realize how much life you have ahead of you because you've only lived.
Yeah. Everything still seems like what I know right now is what everything is always going to be.
Yeah, because you only know like every, a year because you go to school for a year and then there's a new year. You can't see past that.
Yeah.
So you think whatever you do now, like if you think about what you did in high school and that was permanent, can you imagine? What a disaster. That was the best time, I think, to try stuff. And I really think if it was pitched to kids like that, they would maneuver differently and try things differently. And I think also the basis of everything for me is faith. And that was something my parents instilled in me so deeply as a kid that it trickled into everything. So I never worried too much about like how it was going to work. I really was just faithful and only worried about that next step.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever comes, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do what's best for me. And you also build a lot of proof up when you live like that. So you trust it when it comes. And I think like everything's practice, even faith. Like you have to practice believing in yourself. You have to practice taking chances and not knowing what's going to happen. And I feel like I've never fallen taking a step,
Yeah.
So I don't worry about it. And that's the only thing that would allow me to have the work I do now because it's still not at all. There's no proof ahead of me. I only have the proof in my head. But, I also always say I'm so glad I could have never guessed this is where I was going to go because when you try to project into the future, you're working off old information, like we're in the past now.
Yeah.
So anything that comes, if I'm trying to decide how it looks, I'm going off old information, which is limiting. So by not being limiting, I feel like I had this career that there's no way I could have known. I never knew. Like, I never knew even in the middle of it how things were going to go. And I'm so glad, because I probably wouldn't have done any of it if I was worried about what was going to be next.
Yeah, if I was worried about how it was going to work out, the timeline, the time frame.
You got to get rid of all of that.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Campus Drive on Dragon Podcast. I want to know, at least because I know what goes into your work and the thought process that help bring you to this point. Where do you like usually find inspiration, and like what does that creative process from like idea to like finished piece look like for you?
So I get inspiration from very like unconventional spaces. I try to stay away from art almost to get them, because I almost in a way feel like, you know, I spent so much of my life and development not thinking of myself as an artist. Yeah. And now I'm an artist, and I have more time not being an artist, right? So like my mindset, I love where my mind was, and being an artist just kind of was like the final piece of that. Yeah. So I try to live like that now. You know, I don't want art. I think the label, even if you take it too seriously, it becomes this whole thing. And it also makes people sometimes feel like they have to be a certain way to be an artist. And I don't believe that. That's like the opposite of being an artist. You're supposed to define it yourself, right? So if I'm interested, that's what I go towards, which is a lot of like, I love overhearing conversations and hearing people argue and hearing them like have drama or trying to figure something out or say something funny. Like, those are always the best drawing ideas. Mm-hmm. And then also like I'm really into like psychology, brain chemistry, health, like learning about things that I have no reason to learn about. That's how I look at it. So I go down rabbit holes all the time. And I find that, again, without the expectation of what I'm going to make, it allows me to like get inspired. Yeah. So this is my little spiel about AI now. Okay. I just feel like it's a tool, but what I don't like is losing the discernment of going through references and searching things. And, you know, before we even had this, like when I was in school, we're looking in books to get references, you know, to look up stuff. And
Google if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you were lucky, right? If it worked. And if you only get one answer, there's nothing to look at. There's nothing to think about. There's nothing to take you down a different lane. Yeah. And the way my process always starts is like Googling in a Google Doc. And just like brain dumping random things, no limit, no like that doesn't make sense for this. I'll put anything down that comes to mind, and then I'll Google something, and usually like I run into something completely unrelated, or I see a different type of pose or image that I wouldn't have thought of using, and then that leads me to like think of a different idea. And to me, that's the best part. I think that the process is not supposed to be with expectation in it. And I used to work more like, I need to know what I'm going to make before. And I think that was my non-artist mind thinking, because I hadn't been in practice of making things that way. It was more structured. And now I'm like, whatever happens. Like if I have a live painting, like I've had a couple this summer, I just tell myself before I go to bed, I need an idea when I wake up and something needs to come together. And I wake up and I have the picture in my head. And I would have never been able to guess what it was or why. But I think most of my work is always just based on a feeling. And my audience is very helpful in telling me what they take from it, which has made me learn and has also changed my process. So I feel like it's like, you know, it's a symbiotic relationship with the world, and the less pressure and limits on it, the better.
Yeah. And I see a lot of it just stems from you being able to trust yourself, and that you are like, you know, the artist that you're supposed to be, but at the same time, not being limited by what that social caricature of what an artist is, you know, not letting that take you out of your game. And I think that that's very inspiring for people who feel like they don't think like everyone else, and find it and knowing that that is even pad of something that they can stand on, especially while they're learning more about what they want to do with it, how people respond to the things they do. I was also interested in, because I've seen you do, like we talked about having art in houses compared to like a lot of your work is, you know, I look outside the window of the Lion Hotel, it's like, bam. Yeah. Or, you know, you go to DC United, it's like, bam. What role do you think public art plays in like representing stories? How do you feel like that changes the way people perceive it?
I think for me, when I'm doing work like that, which mostly came in through doing activism work, because, you know, it was like protest posters and like murals during like the Black Lives Matter protests. is one, documentation, which is really important because you think back, like what was documented in the past with the tools that we had was not always what was really happening.
Right.
And it was only from a certain perspective. I always use the example of like the first world map that Michelangelo drew. And it was commissioned based on like the size of Christian missionary work versus the actual size of the countries and the continents. And, that is such a strong reminder of how powerful art is, because before we had all these other forms of documentation, if somebody drew it, all that we have left is that drawing. So we have to believe it, right? We don't really know what happened. And now people like us are able to have documentation, like even doing this podcast now and being able to take photos and share on social media and have Twitter and things like that. Especially in activism, I think about that when I'm making stuff because it's easy to change a story. And I want to make sure I'm telling the real story, and there's proof of it.
Yeah.
And even after everything's gone, we have the photos, we have all the moments of people coming together. So that's where I first thought of it. And then there's, as I got into murals, I just kind of have been able to work in different parts of the city that maybe I wouldn't have gone to.
Right.
And while I'm there, it's kind of like I'm moving to the neighborhood for a week or two and I'm seeing all the people on their commutes and like people with their families, and they're watching this piece come together and they're engaging and they're excited. And by the end of it, it feels like we all made it. It feels like it's me and like, this whole community. And then now I'm like there forever in a sense. Yeah. And I got to connect. I've made so many close like friends and fans of people that I just happened to be in their neighborhood that week. And we've stuck together. Now it's been like 8 years I've been doing art. And it's crazy how many different things I've done that have always like every project brings together a new community.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful relationship because I need it too. Like I need to feel connected to people and to feel like I'm communicating for them. And then people need to feel that communication as well. And especially with murals, I always say like change happens at a small level, not at a big level. So if somebody's with their neighbor walking past a mural, they can have a conversation about maybe only one of the neighbors experiences this problem that the work is referencing, right? Or this perspective. And maybe it makes the other person say, I've never even thought about that. What would that feel like? And it allows us to connect better. And even the conversations we have with ourselves, that's the most change that happens, right? Because no one else knows. Yeah. So if you can have something you see, right? If it's, words or news is very like, it could tell you what to do. And you don't want something to tell you what to do. Because if you're already against it, you're just going to say, I'm not going to listen to that.
Yeah, facts.
But art is digestible and it's not in a language. We can all like connect with it. So I just want to make things that make people talk and think. And, kind of going back to what I was saying about feeling like I was living a lie in college before being an artist. What I realized the biggest issue is that I keep answering people's questions instead of asking questions back of why am I having, like once someone asks you something, you answer, that's it. Like you've become in that box they gave you, right? Yeah. And instead I can say, that's not my box. What about this? Yeah. Or like, why would you not think of it this way? And then that's how I think I started making art is like as a question to question things versus like answers. I think we just have to keep asking questions. There's never going to be an answer. That's not like human, it's not like our souls aren't made to be answered. We're supposed to keep digging and figuring it out. And it's not even about, like I said, there's no answer. Like we don't need to get to the end of it. We just need to keep contemplating things.
I like that. The sauce gets better the more you stir. Yeah. And I think that even you mentioning community, because that's one of the things that pops out to me about your work, from going and visiting when you were at Mahari Gallery to even being in the checkout line in Giant and when you did the totes, Right. But I do think that you have done something different in the way that you have found a means to contextualize what community can mean. Whenever people come out, there's always, I see a certain amount of like a certain style of energy that follows your work. And that's some of it has to do with what it is you're trying to get across with messages that are native to you. But I also see the people who are interested in the art also share a common thread. And so I think that you've been able to not only build community for people to appreciate the work, but you've also built a community where people can just appreciate that creative energy that you bring to everything that you do.
Yeah, for sure.
And that part is cool.
That's my favorite part, I think, of my work is seeing the diversity of people that supported, because I think my number one thing is I have to be myself. So I was like, I'm going to be myself. Whoever joins me, fine, but I'm not going to change or not be authentic. And I think that has allowed authentic people to follow me. And everyone that has supported me, I love them. Like, I think they're great people. They have great mindsets. Like, it's always the best energy. And they're all from so many different backgrounds. Like, to the point that I would think like, oh, this person wouldn't be interested in what I do. Or even with my name, I was like, I like the name. Let's see how far I can get with it. Honestly, I didn't think I'd be able to work with the people I have.
Right.
And I think what I love is like breaking the stigma of what someone like me should show up as, or an artist, like what it even means. And I just like throwing people off in any way possible, because I think that's what art does. Yeah.
I love the juxtaposition. And even when you say that, and I've known you for a while, so I don't even think about the name. But like when I remember the first time, and I think it probably was when you do your Valentine's Day.
The Trappentines.
Yeah, the Trappentines. Yes. Grant. And like, that's a hit. Like, everybody relies on them. It's just like, you just know it's February when that time comes around. But just being able, even with those, it's like something that we're used to growing up handing out in school, but you put your own twist on it. You really make it DMV. And I'm definitely going to have to like post some of those just so people can have some like context.
That is my favorite personal project ever. It's so fun.
And it's like a mixtape that you can just keep dropping, keep dropping the three. Like, it's like
probably the only consistent thing that I do, because everything else, I get so busy that I'm like, it's February. Let me go have some fun. So I love that people enjoy it too. That means a lot.
Any projects that you're looking forward to doing, or ideas that you want to flesh out?
So this year, my biggest focus is doing more illustration work. I think because I didn't have like a traditional art education background, I taught myself. A lot of my schooling has been through work and people trusting me to do different things. So all the mediums I've done now it wasn't like I practiced for them. Someone just asked me to do it and I said, okay. And that's allowed me to experience so much, and it was so fun. But I think at this point in my career, I'm ready to focus a little more on what I really enjoy doing, which is illustration. Has always been like where my heart is. And I was running around so much last year doing everything else that this year I was like, I'm just going to move out of my studio and make myself sit down at home and draw. And I'm still working on it. I still can't sit still, but my goal is to like really spend more time on that and like get what's in my head onto my illustrations. Because I think for me, it's the storytelling aspect and the being able to connect with people. Like, I love being able to, I can quickly illustrate and get these ideas and feelings out. And I think that's what made people resonate with me the most in the beginning, was just being on Instagram, sharing the ideas that I had, or doing like the like certain pop culture references of things that were coming up that I just thought were interesting and funny. So I think getting back to like that connecting with my audience part beyond just the work, I want to find a balance of that so that I feel fulfilled too, and not like burnt out, which is really easy to be.
And it can happen. Because you realize that a lot of people, they want the final product, but they don't know what goes into that. They don't know what the process was. And so they constantly are asking for like a finished plate, but they're not really ready to like be on alignment, at least with the ingredients that goes into the work that they love. So
exactly. And I've realized like, what my part is in that when it comes to my personal work is that I have to take it as serious as I take working for other people. But I love freelancing. Like I said, like I really love working with people and bringing their idea to life. I feel like that's my job. That's another thing business taught me, is like how to successfully work with people and to find joy in like fulfilling that need. I think some artists push away from that or feel like that could be selling out by working with people or making money from art. And I don't get that like at all. I did not come from that mentality. So I want to like always continue to do things that I enjoy. But of course there's like the serious side of it. Like, it is work. And it's on me. No one is making sure that I'm getting paid tomorrow. No one's making sure I get work. It is active faith and of discipline and work. So just finding balance and remembering that it ultimately is up to me, and that I have to be the one to like put my foot down when I need a break, or put my foot down and say like, I want to really focus on like my own thing right now. So it's definitely a balance, but having that human aspect, community aspect is what makes it worth it.
Yeah. Any advice you would give to like young artists, or especially those coming from like Howard County who want to build like their own creative careers?
One, self-awareness. Number one, don't worry about success or anything else if you don't even understand yourself. Two, don't alienate yourself by deciding you can't do or be certain things. And I think that's the biggest thing. I'm crazy. I do not believe there's nothing I can't do. I don't have it in me I made myself not think like that. So it's not even just confidence or pride. It's just a value system I've built. Like if I see that things are hard, I go towards that. That's the value system I built. So it becomes second nature. And instead of trying to figure out if I'm willing to take a risk or not, I can put the energy into trying the new thing. And I could care less about, I feel like by the time we get to the part where it's like a win or a loss, I'm already moved on. Like I'm done. I'm not looking for a end goal. You have to just always, the process is the goal every time. Like the process is where the good things come and the beauty comes from. And as long as you have like a direction and something you care about, you'll do well as long as you don't decide you can't have it. Like just take chances. Even, I did the Pabst Blue Ribbon can. 2019.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I didn't even enter that contest like I'm gonna win. I never thought about that. I just liked the way PBR was working with artists. And I was like, I'm very new in this. Maybe if I get my work in front of them, something will come up. And I just wanted to do the design. Like it was a fun idea to me. And then I won. And like, what if I was worried about winning? Like I wouldn't have done it,
It would have been such a stressful.
And what a loss. Like that was one of the most fun times of my life. And it opened up so many other doors. And it also gave me confidence to be like, okay, I can do this. I'm not gonna limit myself and I'm not gonna decide I'm not going to be the first person to tell myself no. And I think like,
that's a good point.
Like you just have to try stuff and stop thinking about the end result. That is when you get where you want to go because you will be satisfied with your effort.
Well, Tenbeete, thank you so much for joining us today on Campus Drive and sharing your thoughts. I'm excited to continue to support your work. I know everybody on campus is dying to see you have something out there, HCC. So we're going to do our job to make sure that happens.
Yes, I don't have anything in Columbia, and I need to put something up over there.
That's what I'm saying. We got to get a flagship, commission for you out there. But it's been a great episode. I think it's going to be very lush, and it's going to be really helpful for like the students, not just in art, just students who are trying to figure out things and just knowing that this is a route that you can take. And it's more so mindset than just having the GPS and the ETA. And
100%.
And I think that part will be reinvigorating for a lot of their creative visions and just their potential moving forward. So thank you guys for listening to Campus Drive, your one-way street to all things HCC. I'm your host, Matt Jackson, and this is another episode. Keep it locked, and you can find this on all podcast streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now YouTube. So listen in, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you for listening to Dragon Podcast. You can find this episode and all other Howard Community College podcasts available for your listening pleasure on all streaming platforms, as well as Podbean at podbean.com/Dragon Podcast. Thank you for listening.